What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 38 of the Dorks Next Door podcast. I am your man, Andy York, and thank you guys so much for joining us, whether it's on iTunes, Google Play, or SoundCloud, or if you join us every Tuesday afternoon or evening as we live stream our episode, as we live stream our podcast each and every Tuesday. We appreciate you guys coming in and joining us and listening to us. Make sure if you're new here that you hit the subscribe button, leave a like and a comment. Make sure you share it with your friends because there's a lot of interesting stuff we're going to talk about today. There's a lot of different casting and different MCU news that we're going to discuss today, so there's going to be a lot of fun. But before we jump into anything, as always, I am joined by the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Jason, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm glad it's the summer, so everything's not as busy. I'm very excited that we are kind of, things have slowed down a little bit, and then they'll pick right back up, and it'll get all crazy again. But we really appreciate you guys joining us. We can't believe it's actually been 38 episodes already. It's kind of moved by kind of quick. We're almost at the year. We're almost at a
52.
year. Yeah, it's very excited. That'll be a fun episode for sure. Mm-hmm. But before we jump into anything, before we jump into some news and then what we're going to talk about, what we're going to do for the rest of the evening, we always like to start off by doing what we are into this week. And Jason, I always like to start with you, especially this week because I still have to come up with something. So, Jason, what are you into this week?
Well, I found out the terrible news that's apparently been out for a while that Adobe is discontinuing Flash. They're discontinuing the product that has, been so integral to all of these games growing up, especially in like computer class. We would all play Flash games. That was a big part of my generation growing up, going through school. I don't really know if they're going to have another product to like kind of support in the same way. But yeah, a lot of Flash games just aren't going to work anymore. So my favorite Flash game, which is a port of, well, not really a port, but it's a fan remake of Smash Bros. On Flash, Super Smash Flash 2. I downloaded that to my computer because I was like, they're discontinuing Flash before 2020. So they're doing it this year. So it's like I really need that game on my computer still. I need to be able to still access it. So since it's a separate thing now, since it's an executable on my computer, it'll be fine.
Right.
But like I can't play the browser version anymore or something like that.
Huh.
Not right now, but like once they discontinue Flash. Yeah. So that'll suck a lot.
That's weird that they're doing that.
But like Cool Math games, you basically won't be able to play any of those anymore.
That's so weird. A lot of stuff uses Adobe Flash though.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't Netflix use it?
I don't know. I don't know all the implications, but I just looked it up for like specific games.
Oh wow, that's so weird.
Yeah.
That is so weird that they're doing that. But I guess I don't know why unless they're coming up with something new to use, but still. That's still really, really weird. So what I'm into this week is actually kind of a resurface of what I've talked about before. But I've still been continuing to play Cuphead. And it's still the most frustrating game I've ever played in my entire life. Like, I don't understand why it's so frustrating, why it's so hard. But it's it pisses me off, like, constantly.
Yeah.
Like, I can feel, which I'm a pretty calm guy for the most part. But I could feel my blood pressure rising as I was playing this. Mm-hmm. Like, this thing is going to cause me to have a mini stroke right here. Oh, no. Like, it's not going to be good. But it's still fun. It's still a lot of fun to play it. It's just very like I even got my mom to play it with me, and like my mom doesn't get mad at like anything at all, and she was getting mad, so she ended up quitting right in the middle of it. And so it's still it's crazy. We might have to play it one day. We might have to record us playing or throw it up there one day because I'd like to see if you would fly mad at it or not.
Yeah, I don't know. The only kinds of games that I really get frustrated with are online games because I can't pause that and take a break and walk away. Right. And like do something else.
Right. Yeah, it's like the first time. So like I was the guy that like when I got Fortnite, I got it like 6 months after everyone else already had it. Mm-hmm. And so like I logged on to play and like kept dying over and over and over and over again. And it really just got me to the point where I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm not playing this anymore. Like, forget this. Mm-hmm. People have had this way too long, and I'm not going to be any good at it. I'll just come over here and just continue to play my wrestling game, and that'll be it.
The number one game that really got under my skin, it's not a competitive game. Like, competitive games, like online games, aren't as bad as trying to play Black Ops Zombies.
Yeah.
With people online, and it's like you have to work together to do it.
Yeah,
that's so much worse to me.
Yes, it is.
Because we all have to work as a team, and it's way more frustrating than like a competitive game like Fortnite or something.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
It always ticks me off. Gump, I would love to see you record that. I would actually really love to see, because
you record playing Cuphead.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he would have I'm pretty sure he would just die on camera. But it'd be for our entertainment.
I thought he was talking about recording you.
No, I think he was talking about recording him, because he gets mad at like very little stuff. Like it doesn't take a whole lot to set Gump off, and so this would like I think this would push him over the edge, and I think it would be amazing to see. It would be quality content.
I see.
Justin said Cuphead isn't that hard. Well, you know what? Not everybody is a god tier level Cuphead player like you are, so it's still very difficult for us newbies. Yes, I am a bot, and I'm okay with that. So. But yeah, Cuphead's a lot of fun. Check it out. We're going to do a lot of stuff. Speaking of the Switch, after we get done recording this, because this isn't going to be a super long episode, about 6 o'clock our time, 6:15 our time, we are going to go live again, where we're just going to kind of sit and chill and play Jackbox games with you guys. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. We would like to have as many people in there as we can. We're going to have a lot of fun, so stick around after that. Stick around after we get done recording. After we get done with this, we're going to jump straight into that very soon, so look for that. It'll be a lot of fun. We'd love to have all you guys with us, and it'd be awesome. So a lot of MCU news to discuss this week. We're going to discuss one.
Isn't there always?
Yeah. It's a very moving movement right now. There we go.
Yeah.
We also got one DC thing we're going to talk about, kind of something we've already talked about, but it's confirmed for sure now. So we'll start with that. It is confirmed now that Robert Pattinson is going to be the new Batman, which we are both very excited for. And I don't know if this was confirmed beforehand. If we already knew he was directing this, I wasn't 1,000% sure. But that Matt Reeves, who did the Planet of the Apes movies, is going to do this movie as well, which is very, very exciting.
Yeah, it's always been his movie. He's always been attached to it.
Okay.
But that is really exciting, because I've only seen the first two of those, but I loved both of them.
Yeah.
They were really enjoyable.
And if Batman kind of has the same feel as those three movies do, then I think it'll be awesome. I think it would be awesome to be a part of that and to see that. So I think it would be really, really cool. But we both said, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, that we are both very much on board with Robert Pattinson being the next Batman. I think it's going to be awesome to see him, because I think he fits. I think he could fit both. I saw a picture somebody posted of him wearing the Bat mask. And it looked actually legit. So I was like, it actually got me excited to see him casted as Batman. So I think it's going to work really well. Like I really, really think it's going to work really well. I'm very excited to see him take on that role for sure. And then some other casting news for the MCU this time, but it is rumored that the Eternals movie, not only was it that they met with, I think it was Angelina Jolie. They are now meeting with, or rumored to have met with, Keanu Reeves for an undisclosed role. Which we'll start with him. That would be a massive get for the MCU.
Yeah,
because Keanu Reeves is an A-list superstar now.
Right, especially
after John Wick.
Right, yeah. With the third one having just come out, that's such an awesome time to announce that he's part of it, because like there's been such a swell of like news about him and just like appreciation of him and his career. So,
and if you could get both Angelina Jolie and Keanu Reeves in the same MCU movie,
right,
that's a massive get. Like that's awesome.
And they're both kind of from the same period of filmmaking, so it'll attract a certain audience.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting, because a lot of the MCU stars are younger than they are.
Yeah.
But I think it would be really cool to see both of them portray the Eternals, which are like characters that have an eternal lifespan.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see what kind of role he gets. I'd love having John Wick in the MCU. It'd be awesome if in the Eternals he was just John Wick. Like let John Wick live forever. Let John Wick live forever. And then we also have another question. Are you guys more excited for the Eternals or the New Gods from DC? I'll let you answer that one first.
Well, just in terms of movies, because I'm about equally familiar with both of them in the comics, which is not very much. So I would say because the MCU has shown that they know what they're doing already, because they have shown that they can take and kind of like out their concept that people like me, other people aren't as familiar with, like Guardians of the Galaxy, like Ant-Man, they can turn it into something like lasting. They can turn it into something really enjoyable in a movie, and DC hasn't proven that they can do that yet. I'd say Shazam was kind of close to it. But then again, Shazam is kind of like still on a tier above in popularity.
Right.
Something like Eternals or Guardians or New Gods.
Yeah. I think I agree. I think I'm more excited for the Eternals movie because of Marvel's track record.
Right.
Of like, we've seen them handle these type of characters before, and they've handled them very successfully. Like the Guardians, even to an extent, I think Captain Marvel is above that, but not a whole lot of people knew a whole lot about her. You know what I mean?
Especially with the take that they went.
Right.
Because Miss Marvel had been around for a lot longer, but Captain Marvel was sort of a reworking of that character.
Yeah.
I was more familiar with Miss Marvel than I was with Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I was too. And so they handled those characters extremely well to where it got you invested in them. And DC hasn't really done that yet. Like you were saying, Shazam is the closest they've got. Shazam is really good. Like Shazam is a spot on movie. But I do think I'm more excited for the Eternals movie just because it's something different that the MCU is kind of doing,
right?
Which is exciting. Like, it's super exciting that they're taking another leap of faith and making something else out there random, but it's very exciting to see as well.
No, and if Eternals lands really well, then it's going to be another like huge like, all right, they've still got it.
Yeah,
they can still do C-list comic book characters and make them interesting.
Yeah.
I'd say automatically the casting of Angelina Jolie and Keanu Reeves like puts Eternals above for me.
Even if you just
we haven't heard any news on New Gods yet, but both of those are really exciting to me.
And if you just get one of them, that's still a really, really big win.
Right.
I agree with Gump though. If DC had a slightly better track record, I'd probably say New Gods because I'm more familiar with it. I would say that too. It's just I don't trust DC. Which don't get us wrong, I'm actually super excited to see where DC's heading now. Especially after Shazam, especially after hearing Robert Pattinson being casted as the Batman, after seeing all the stuff we've seen for the Joker. Even the Birds of Prey movie looks different and exciting and new to an extent. I'm just excited to see Margot Robbie. I think she's the best part of those movies.
I hope she gets more to do.
Yeah. Well, they're pushing everything behind her, so
yeah.
I think that would be really, really cool to see though. But I agree. If you get somebody like Keanu Reeves, if you get somebody like Angelina Jolie for your movie, even if it's just a one-off, even if they're just a villain in the movie or whatever,
right? I
think it still works. I really think it still works. Because kind of look like with Spider-Man: Far From Home, like Michael Keaton is a massive get for them. He's not. He's not on the level of Keanu Reeves and them, but I think it's still. I still think it was a big factor to get him as the villain for that movie.
Right.
And then what was the other casting one? Was there another casting one we talked about?
No, I think that was just the two.
I think it was just the two. So very exciting news though for both DC and Marvel with that. Gump said, "Yeah, I'm nervous about Blue Beetle, especially because he was a favorite of mine in the Batman animated show Brave and the Bold." Blue Beetle's going to be a weird one, I think, for them to tackle.
If they get around to it.
Yeah.
Because that's one of those projects that it's like, oh, DC's making this movie, and it just never happens.
It's like The Trench.
And it happens all the time.
Yeah.
The Trench is never going to come out.
No, it's
if
not.
The Trench comes out, I'll have to think of a challenge later that I'm going to do.
I'm actually shocked that we're actually getting a Joker movie. I thought that was one of those of it's kind of... I figured it would be kind of on the back burner for DC.
With DC, when they have a creator attached from the beginning, they did with... what am I thinking of?
Is he directing it? Todd Phillips?
Yeah. When they have a creator attached from the beginning, like Todd Phillips and like Matt Reeves, then that movie is probably going to get made because it's a director-led movie.
Yeah.
Unless it's part of the DCEU. But even some of those, like some of the lesser ones, kind of aren't really happening anymore. They kind of trailed off. Yeah. So.
But I think it's kind of good, though, that DC's kind of putting everything that's important kind of as a priority first. And letting all like the major stuff come out first before they do this.
I think that they recognize that their more creator-led films are going to be the more successful ones.
Right.
In a critical sense, anyway.
Yeah.
Going to help kind of re-legitimize them. So they're kind of throwing those ones out there first and prioritizing those ones and saying, these are the ones that we want to do first before we meet together in a boardroom to decide what the next Justice League movie is going to be about.
You have to make us care about your characters first before you throw them all together for a big feel-good fight movie. So,
yeah.
Should we preface this with maybe spoilers? Because it's just kind of rumors.
No, it is rumors. Yeah. And basically, anything that we might have heard today
could change very quickly.
Well, anything that we might have heard today is from a very, very not credible source.
Right.
So it's basically just more talk about our speculation if this happens. So I don't really even think we should say spoilers.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
want to go in blind, go in blind,
Right. But I mean, anything that we're talking about right here is basically just our speculation.
Yeah.
And we've heard more speculation from other people today.
Yeah. This is something we've been speculating for a while.
Right, and it's something we've talked about before.
Yeah, and it's just kind of more fuel on the fire.
So this is just mostly us just talking about our excitement if this potentially happens.
Right, but if you want to wait till after Far From Home to come back and listen to this, that's fine. That's cool. We get it. I totally understand.
Totally.
But with that being said,
no spoiler danger.
No spoiler danger at all. So Spider-Man dies at the end from Far From Home.
Right. Yeah.
Right,
he dies of sadness, like Padme.
Oh no. That's sad.
Yeah.
Oh, no. So, it is being rumored, heavily rumored, that obviously the myth, the man, the number 1 or 2 Spider-Man villain?
Number 1.
Number 1?
Number 1.
Number 1.
Yes.
Number 1.
Definitely
Norman Osborn is going to be rumored to be appearing in the Far From Home movie that's coming out, which is not necessarily a surprise.
Right.
But it's still very exciting to see him in the MCU, to see him as the next, not necessarily big villain, but to see him as a villain.
Would be very exciting if it is to happen.
Exactly.
Because, again, all big speculation.
Right. Now, there is but
it's an idea we're very, very excited about because he would open up a whole new leg. And he would fit, logically, it fits very well in what they want to do. He would open up a whole new leg of where the MCU could be going.
Yeah.
More the question, I think, in most people's minds is like when he would appear.
Yeah.
And I think Far From Home would be a surprising place to introduce him, but a place that makes sense because if he's the next big villain that they're leading to,
right,
introducing him in the movie directly after Endgame makes a lot of sense.
It does because of who would be better to not necessarily make fun of, but who would be more of an emotional villain for Spider-Man to face right after Tony's death than Norman Osborn.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who takes on the mantle as Iron Man.
Right.
In some adaptations of the comics.
No, and as I've talked about before, I don't really care one way or the other if they do Green Goblin with Norman Osborn.
Right.
I want to see Dark Avengers Norman Osborn, to where he's really taking the mantle of he's the next Tony Stark. He's this amazing businessman, super talented, super intelligent, and he's going to lead his iteration of the Avengers. Maybe it's the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Maybe they call themselves the Avengers, but the Dark Avengers, because they're not going to call themselves the Dark Avengers.
Yeah.
That's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
But he would be a really great villain for the entirety of Phase 4 because he's directly tied to Spider-Man, who's kind of the new big face of the MCU, who's still coming into his own.
Right.
And also because of his interactions with the Avengers, the story of Siege, where he leads the Avengers against Asgard, which they have New Asgard in the movies right now. So yeah, logically it would make a lot of sense to have him in there, but more I think the question in people's minds is when.
When, yeah.
Like I said.
I think it could be one of those of this might just be kind of like a post-credit scene of just like him kind of popping up. Or
it would make a lot of sense as a post-credit scene.
Or at the very end of the film. Like the very, very end of the film.
Right.
Either way, I think that works. I don't think he's going to be like... I don't think he'll be introduced super early. I think there might be like drops of hints of him. But I don't think...
like showing Avengers Tower being remodeled in the background of the trailer.
Or maybe Harry being in Peter's class.
That's something I've speculated about. Is like maybe Harry Osborn is going to show up as a member of as a member of Peter's class.
Yeah.
And that could be like one of the twists. Like in Homecoming, they had the twist where Zendaya's character was revealed as MJ.
Yeah.
So maybe they could have a similar twist with Harry Osborn to where you think he's this one character, maybe like an original character or something like that, and then at the end it's revealed that was Harry Osborn, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe his father sent him in undercover in a civilian disguise.
Yeah.
So that he wouldn't attract attention or something like that. So
yeah, I think it's...
I don't know.
But I think it's a really good... Like, this is the perfect time to put him in the MCU. Because it's kind of like the Avengers, like the main Avengers. By the main Avengers, I mean like Hawkeye, Black Widow, Cap, and Tony. They're all gone. Mm-hmm. Thor is kind of doing his own thing, so Thor's not even really around all that much.
Right.
And then the Hulk we don't really know what's going to happen with him.
Yeah.
So like there's no more of quote Avengers. Like there is, but there isn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so when's the perfect time for somebody to come in,
fill that power
vacuum and create something? It's him. And I think it's awesome. Like, I think this is the perfect time to introduce him.
Yeah.
My thing is, I don't want necessarily... It wouldn't bother me if they did, like, the Green Goblin with him.
Right.
But I'm like you. I fully want to see the Dark Avenger businessman side of Norman Osborn.
Iron Patriot.
Yeah. I want to see the Iron Patriot.
They've already had the concept of Iron Patriot. Rhodey's been in an Iron Patriot armor quite a bit.
Right.
But, like, the whole purpose of the Iron Patriot armor is, like, kind of an amalgamation of Iron Man and Captain America.
Right.
And the concepts of both of those heroes. So for that to come back again and for him to kind of take that mantle that's already been hinted at would be really cool.
Yeah, it would be awesome
to see again.
So I think that would be really, really, really cool. Gump said, what if Osborn hires Mysterio? That'd be interesting. Because
hires or hired?
Because think about it, it was Ant-Man and the Wasp, right? I forget his name because that's such a forgettable part of the movie.
The Southern guy.
Yeah, the Southern guy. He says he works for some very powerful people.
Right.
What if that very powerful person was Norman Osborn, and then this has been him kind of setting everything up? You know.
You know what? This is a rabbit trail.
Go ahead.
I have another idea of who that buyer could be. Who would be? What was it that they were even buying?
It was the quantum tech.
Yeah, I have another idea of who that buyer could be. And after watching, if you've seen, I put it up on Twitter, but it would be kind of buried at this point. Nando V Movies, who is a movie YouTuber, did a really interesting pitch for Ant-Man 3 because I'm very invested in the story of Ant-Man.
Yeah.
As we all know, I am a big Ant-Man fan.
Big Ant-Man fan.
And his idea for where they could take Ant-Man 3 was so awesome.
Yeah.
And a big part of that would have been AIM, which is just like his idea. But AIM coming back, AIM being more like kind of true to the comics. Another concept from Iron Man 3, like Iron Patriot, coming back and being a little bit more true to the comics.
Right.
Which isn't something I'm like super butthurt about, but it would still be cool to see. And like the beehive suits and everything, and MODOK would be a part of it.
Yeah.
So maybe that tease was for AIM instead, because it would make total sense that they would want quantum technology and Pym particles.
Yeah.
Because that's something that can't be replicated outside of Hank Pym.
Right.
So Norman Osborn would make a lot of sense, but I think AIM would make even more sense.
Yeah. Which I don't think you could. I don't think there's any problem with introducing two big businessmen type villains in the MCU. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like an evil corporation and an evil businessman, whatever. I think that kind of stuff is just simple, but it works every time.
Well, that was every one of Iron Man's villains.
Right.
Was an evil businessman.
Yeah. And so it really works. And so, like, I think getting them to the point though where like the entire Avengers may have to like come in, or like the Young Avengers or whatever you want to do, have to come in and help like fight off against him. I think that would be awesome. Especially because like right after maybe you get done fighting Osborn, which by the way, please don't kill him off super quick. That's my biggest fear of like, please do not kill them off super quick. But like right after that could introduce right into Annihilus. Like Annihilus could come right in right after that, and I think it would work really, really cool. I think Osborn could be this phase's version of Loki.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You know, maybe somebody not like a fan favorite, but like someone who's directly tied into one of the core members.
Yeah.
Who continuously keeps coming back. Mm-hmm. Like keep showing up and keep showing up.
Except for unlike Loki, he's like actually evil.
Right. He doesn't keep which I like that about Loki of like he keeps, because that part works. But with Norman Osborn, I want him to be fully evil all the time. He's not an anti-hero. No, he's not. He's a villain.
A bad person.
He's just a bad person.
Which is great.
Which is awesome. And so I really, really want them to kind of just keep him around like that. Maybe like you still have the overlooming threat of Annihilus, but I still think you could keep Osborn around, and Osborn could stay from here on out for a long time. You know what I mean? So I think that could work really, really, really well.
Yeah.
I'm such an Osborn fan. Like I love Osborn. I think he's my second favorite MCU villain, or not MCU, but like Marvel comic book villain.
Wow.
Thanos obviously is my boy. I love Thanos, but I think Osborn is like a close second. Which, by the way, Gump, you're wrong. Osborn's not second. He's first as Spider-Man villain. So
yeah, that's it. Well, you've also got Doc Ock.
Doc Ock's up. Doc Ock's like second, like a close second.
Which is close because there was the entire Superior Spider-Man arc, which was all just about Doc Ock. But I think for someone who's been like directly tied to Peter Parker for the entirety of his comics run, I'd say probably Norman Osborn.
Yeah. Now, I know your favorite is Venom. Your boy Venom.
Yeah, totally.
Your boy Venom. You love Venom.
No, I don't. I really don't.
Yeah.
But as I said, it might have been last week or 2 weeks ago, but Venom is one of the few comics characters that I just don't really care for.
Yeah.
So that was a great reference, though.
Thank you. I pulled that one out very quickly. But I think I'm very excited either way. Like even if Osborn doesn't show up in Far From Home, I still think it's going to be awesome. Just because Mysterio's in it, I think Jake Gyllenhaal's going to absolutely murder this role. I think he's going to be awesome as Mysterio. Plus, there have been a couple other like possible villains to pop up, like Dimitri, who I think could be playing. There's a character named Dimitri who I think could be playing. What's the name of the villain?
Chameleon.
Yeah, Chameleon.
Yeah.
Which I think would be very interesting.
Yeah.
And then I think obviously you got like Hydro Man, which could just be Mysterio messing with him.
I'm going to assume that those aren't like fully fleshed out characters, and they're just going to be elemental concepts instead, which is fine. Yeah. I mean,
if they show up, awesome. If
it's going to be a really busy movie anyway, so
it is.
You can't have like a full like Sandman arc or anything like that.
No, because when you try to do 3 different villain arcs in one movie, it normally doesn't work.
Wonder what Spider-Man would know a whole lot about that, wouldn't he?
Sandman would know a whole lot about that too. Could you imagine if we got Sandman and Venom back in the same movie?
No thanks.
By the way, I really don't think Venom's showing up in the MCU anytime soon. I think that's just all.
I hope not. I hope that's just all Daddy Feige has us safe.
I think Daddy Feige is smart. Like obviously he's smart, but I think he's like.
And I think he hates Venom as much as I do. So
probably
the movie. I don't actively hate the character. I don't care for the character. I actively hate the movie.
But you haven't even seen the movie,
right?
So you're hating something you haven't even seen,
right?
Which is totally fine, by the way. It's just maybe you'll watch it. Maybe that would be like your favorite Marvel like superhero movie of all time. It could be right up there with Dark Phoenix. You never know.
Yeah. 2 movies I'm not going to watch.
Oh, man.
No, I might watch Dark Phoenix. I don't know. I just really just like Venom, I have active disinterest.
Right.
And I know I like try to be, and especially with Marvel stuff, I really want to be the guy who's knowledgeable on comic book things. And I've watched a lot of bad movies for the sake of being that guy.
Right.
And being the guy who kind of like understands
We've suffered
all the different movies and understands a lot of context. But it's like, man, after Justice League, it really burnt me out on being that guy who's seen all the stuff. Like, I just really, like, don't care. There are so many other things I'd rather watch than Venom that I haven't seen because I still have a lot of pop culture to catch up on.
Right.
And same with Dark Phoenix. Like,
I'm going to.
Whatever.
I'm seeing it this weekend. I'm actually seeing it Friday. Dark Phoenix, and we were talking about this before we recorded. We're not even doing an episode on it next week unless it's surprising, like super surprising. If it's like super super good.
Yeah, if you tell me it's surprisingly good,
right?
Then
because like I told you Venom. What I told you about Venom was like it was not good, but it was better than what I thought it was going to be. Like I thought it was going to be like BVS bad, and it ended up being like Wonder Woman bad. But but it wasn't like that good either.
And that's what I heard about Justice League, and that's what people told me about Justice. Which I'm not saying that you're like wrong like that. Like that's just a straight up wrong opinion about Justice League. But when I went to go see that, I was like, wow, that was not better than I thought it would be. That was actually a lot worse somehow.
And see, I went into Justice League with really high expectations. Not high expectations, but like pretty decent.
Maybe this will be better than
maybe
BVS
this will
level.
be better than BVS. Like maybe they learned from their mistakes, whatever. And like I went in and it was not to me it was as bad as BVS. Maybe not as bad because I hated BVS with a passion, but to me, like I really think that Dark Phoenix could some way somehow be a little bit interesting, depending on what they do. Right. And it might be one of those of like it's so bad at some points that it's actually interesting. You know what I mean? Like sometimes that can happen with a movie. There's a lot of times where it doesn't. Like to me, Batman and Robin is so bad that it's funny, but it's trying to be so bad that it's funny at
Batman
times.
And Robin.
Yeah, like it doesn't take itself seriously at all.
Right.
Especially when he whips out the Bat card, and it was like, yep, that's
never leave the cave without it.
Never leave the cave without it. But like, I really think from what we've seen in the trailers, I think this might be one of those of like it's their last run ever. I don't know if they knew that this was going to be their last one ever when they were making it, but I think they're just kind of going to take it way too seriously, and I don't think it's going to work very well. I am happy that Mystique is probably going to die. Hopefully, dies, and that's exciting news to me because, good Lord, I hate her. I hate that character. I like Jennifer Lawrence. I'm a fan of Jennifer Lawrence. Not a fan of Mystique anymore. Which we talked about, and I think you even tweeted this, but like Cyclops in the MCU, if there's one character that should get a redemptive storyline in the MCU, it needs to be Cyclops.
Well,
he needs to. Right. He needs to actually be interesting.
I think he is the number one character who you need to pay the most attention to and give the most TLC when you're putting him in this universe, because they've already done Wolverine really well. Yeah. They've already done Professor X pretty solid. Yeah. They've already done Magneto really well.
Yeah.
And I think Cyclops is like the next biggest character, and he's just like a complete doofus.
He's just been left alone.
Like, in every X-Men movie. Like, he just sucks in every X-Men movie.
He does.
Because Wolverine is always there to steal the show, which is great.
Yeah.
But now Wolverine, I'm hoping, will be transplanted over to the Avengers, and Cyclops will hopefully get a more leading role. I'm hoping that Professor X takes a bit of the back seat, and Magneto, and Wolverine goes over to the Avengers. That's just what I want to happen.
Yeah.
Like, he'll have history with the X-Men, of course, but I just hope they just throw him right over to the
Avengers
like main stuff, because that would be really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope that Cyclops becomes interesting, because like Star-Lord, before Guardians of the Galaxy came out, like people weren't like invested in the struggles of Star-Lord.
Right.
Even Iron Man, to an extent.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't the biggest character. And everyone just kind of views Cyclops as like this stock, like white bread guy who is just there to be that character.
And he's awesome. Like in the comics, he's awesome.
Somewhat, yeah, as a foil to Wolverine. And I hope that they can like take that and make it interesting, as they so often do. Take on interesting characters and make them interesting. Or take like interesting characters and make them more interesting.
Right.
So I'm really hoping that Cyclops gets a lot of TLC when Marvel does the X-Men, and Jean Grey too, because she's never been done.
Yeah, no, she is not
very well either.
No, she is not, and I don't think she's going to be done well here at all either. But I will say, I think, obviously, kind of backtracking a little bit, but I think we're both excited for Spider-Man: Far From Home, which comes out July 2nd, which is a Tuesday, which is very different. They're not coming out with it on Thursday like normally because of it being the 4th, July 4th. So it comes out on that Tuesday, which I'm still going to go see it. Even if it came out on the 4th, I'd probably still be in theaters to go see it. But I think we're obviously both excited about it. Whatever happens, I think it's going to be awesome. I think this is probably this is an extremely important movie for the MCU because it's the first one after Endgame. It's the first one probably going to set up more things for phases 4 and 5.
Totally.
And it needs to kind of hit a home run. You know what I mean? Not necessarily hit a home run, but I think it needs to keep people's interest.
Now, here's my question is, I think this has already been clarified, and it's probably just a question for you. The Infinity Saga is just Iron Man to Endgame.
Is it Endgame or is it Iron Man to Far From Home?
But Phase 3 extends to Far From Home.
Yes, Phase 3 goes to Far From Home, but I think
the Infinity Saga is just Iron Man to Endgame.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that would make the most sense. I don't know. I think it depends on what they do in Far From Home. Because I think Far From Home could still tie into a lot of things. Obviously, it's going to tie into the end of Endgame. But I think it still could be more considered whatever they call the next saga or phase. But I think it would be. I don't know. I don't think they've clarified anything with it. I don't think Feige said anything in the AMA, did he? About when like the Infinity Saga quote unquote technically ends.
No, I think I'm pretty sure I was right to where it just ends on Endgame, and then Phase 3 ends on Far From Home. But that was just kind of like a random thought, like, you know, do I have that right? But I'm pretty sure I do.
But I do think it's going to be. I think it needs to be. Not needs to be, but I think it needs to keep people's interest.
Right. No, I think
this is obviously Endgame was a very important film, but we all knew that it was going to be. They would have to be actively trying to make it like not good. You know what I mean?
Right.
But this one, because I think Ant-Man and the Wasp suffered from this. Right after this massive event, like 2 months after this massive event movie, this movie comes out. But I think Far From Home is in a better spot because it's not the movie in between the two events. Like this is right after, so this can kind of pick up on where Endgame left and move forward. Plus, especially with how much screen time Spider-Man had at the end of Endgame, with the scene with Tony and then at the scene with the funeral, things like that. I think it's very, very smart for them to make this Spider-Man movie next. Because it ties into what happens after Endgame and it kind of pushes things forward from here on out. Plus, I'm really excited to see like the character relationship now between Spider-Man and Happy. Like I think that's going to be awesome to see. And so I think it's going to be really, really cool. I think it's going to be good. Like I honestly think it's going to be really good. But I think it needs to kind of keep everyone's interest from here on out. Because I think it could struggle from that a little bit. Especially because like right after that, the only movie that is going to like the movie after that is Black Widow, which is taking place before everything from taking place before even Iron Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, potentially actually, because I heard some interesting news on Black Widow, to where it may actually take place after Civil War, between Civil War and Infinity War, which I think would be even more interesting.
That would be
than seeing like a prequel to Iron Man, and also that way, or to Iron Man 2. But that way they wouldn't even have to de-age Scarlett Johansson like at all, really. Right.
Do you think that it could be one of those that they could do the same thing they did with Captain Marvel of it could take place between Civil War and Infinity War, but it could also have flashbacks to her past? Because they're doing things.
We'll see a lot more about her past.
I think they are doing things like they're shooting things in Budapest. And they're shooting things in, it's either Scotland or somewhere. I forget where they're shooting.
I think it's Scotland, yeah.
But I think I would love to see if they did that between what happened in Civil War and Far From Home, which means, hey, we may get a Chris Evans appearance in this movie.
Potentially, yeah.
Which I think would be awesome.
It would be weird, especially since they gave him such a definitive finale to see him again. In Black Widow.
But I mean, if they did that, we would see, like, if they did where we got to see all of them together, I mean, we would see Cap, we would see Falcon, Vision and Wanda.
If it was a very intentional scene towards the end of the movie, to where like now they're going on the run, now they're the Secret Avengers, like they're regrouping or something like that, and like he had a very intentional like role in the movie, even if for a little bit, it would have to be like very intentional. I can only use that word because I can't think of another one.
Right.
Then that would work, I think, to see him like young again and part of the fight, sort of before we know what's going to happen to him.
Later on, yeah.
So,
no, I totally agree with you on that. But I do think it would be kind of not hard, but I think it would be kind of weird to do between Civil War and Infinity War without having him in there at all. You know what I mean?
Right, because he was a big part of her life through that. But I think she can go off on another adventure.
Yeah, totally.
Which would be really, really fun to see.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. Time period idea, because like there's also the idea where it could take place in the 5-year gap between Infinity War and Endgame. For that one, I think there would be a whole lot of implications, and also there would have to be a lot of very, very intentional character work for that. And there would have to be a whole lot of very intentional world building for it to take place in the 5-year gap, even though it's an interesting time period to see. But to me, Civil War with her being on the run intrigues me the most. Intrigues me more than an Iron Man 2 prequel or like really any other time period in her life. So if that comes true, I'll be really, really excited about that.
Yeah. But I think I agree with you. If it was up to me, I think I would much rather see between Civil War and Infinity War, or like her past, like her backstory. But I did think it would be interesting to see like between Infinity War and Endgame, because I think in the scene in Endgame with her and Cap, right after everyone had right after she broke down. If you look in one of the chairs that she's sitting here, right? Cap's sitting across. There's a chair here, and in the chair are her ballerina slippers. So it's like she'd been either just wearing them, like practicing doing the thing again or whatever. So I think that would be interesting. That could be like a little whatever. But I would still much rather see her backstory or the time between Civil War and Infinity War.
My biggest guess is that it's going to be after Civil War, but we're going to have a lot of flashbacks.
I honestly think they're going to do like what they did with Captain America. Or not Captain America, with Captain Marvel. Yeah. You're going to see her between Civil War and Infinity War, but you're going to see a lot of flashbacks to what happened in Budapest. Because they brought up Budapest again in Endgame. We're going to see what happened in Budapest.
Right.
We're going to see...
Hopefully.
We're going to see, how she got to where she got. You know what I mean? How she got in with S.H.I.E.L.D., how she got in with things like that. So I think that's the safe bet and the best bet to do.
I gotta say, I think the period after Civil War is most interesting to me because you can see what's happening with other characters during that time.
Yeah.
You could see what's happening with Nick Fury and Maria Hill. Yeah. They could be a part of that movie, even though they've been a part of like Nick Fury's been in every 2019 Marvel movie, and then he would be in Black Widow again.
Right.
But I want to know what happened with him after that period in Civil War. What am I trying to say? As to why the period after Civil War is the most interesting. Keep going and I'll think of it. Sorry.
You're good. No, but I fully agree though that I think it would be very, very interesting to see. I want to see her backstory. I want to see a lot about her backstory because we don't know a whole lot.
With Captain Marvel, this is what I was trying to say.
Okay, go ahead.
With Captain Marvel, that was a story that was completely removed from everything that's happened in the MCU so far. All the way back in the 90s, and really, which I'm not really complaining about it, but the events of Captain Marvel had nothing to do with Endgame or Infinity War or anything.
All it did was just kind of show, hey, she was a part of the Tesseract.
Yeah, here's the pager. Yeah. Remember that pager?
Yeah.
That was really it for the entire movie. So it would be more interesting to me to see something that happens within the MCU time period with maybe flashbacks and hints to things that have happened before the MCU. But I don't know how much I want another movie that's completely removed from what we already know from the direct story.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of wish Black Widow had come out sooner. especially if it is in that time period.
Black Widow should have came out in the Captain Marvel spot.
It should have, it should have been a part of the Infinity Saga.
Yeah,
I think. I still don't know what they're doing with it yet. But then right after that, you have Eternals, most likely, coming out next year, which nobody has any idea where that movie's taking place.
Right.
The Eternals live forever, so it could take place. It would probably take place after Endgame. It would probably take place in the chronological order, but there's got to be things that happened in the past in that movie too.
Right.
So I think I'd prefer to see things that are happening in the story that they've been telling, instead of keeping jumping to these different points. Even though it's interesting to see, at times, I'd prefer things that are a little bit more linear. Even if Black Widow wouldn't be perfectly linear, I prefer the main story that's being told
to follow everything. That's right. I totally get it. I totally agree with you. I think I'm excited for the Black Widow movie. I think this is a movie we should have got a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle her character, especially after what happened in Endgame, especially how many people are upset about it.
Right.
Which it kind of surprised me that there's a lot of people upset about how she, how she was one of the ones to die in this movie.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be I think it's going to be really, really good. I think it's going to be one of those movies that will bring people back in for sure to watch it. Mm-hmm. Even if they don't even if they don't come back and watch Far From Home, I think they'll people who are invested in Black Widow will come back and watch that Black Widow movie for sure. So I'm super excited for this. I'm super excited for the next 3 MCU movies we're getting.
Right. No surprise there, but still.
No. But even with the Eternals, the fact that we don't know a whole lot about it makes me very excited for it.
Right.
Because if they don't give us a whole lot of information, we kind of go in blind. We go in with not super high expectations, and normally when that happens, they knock it out of the park. Like
with Guardians.
Like with Ant-Man. I went into the first Ant-Man movie this is probably not going to be... this is just about a man that shrinks down, super small, whatever. It's not going to be that great. It's not even Hank Pym. It's Scott Lang, whatever.
And then it changed.
And then it was this is awesome. And this is a great movie.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for that. So I think it's going to be super awesome.
I agree in the chat that they did wait too long for Black Widow. And what I'm hoping comes out of that is that they have very intentional storytelling choices.
Right.
They knew what they were going to do in Endgame a very long time ago.
Right.
Probably before they even planned the movie. So I would have preferred it be a part of the Infinity Saga and be a part of that story that's being told.
Yeah.
Absolutely preferred that. So I hope that it's a very purposeful decision.
It's very intentional that Black Widow is coming out when it is.
I hope so.
It seems like it would be. It seems like Marvel and Kevin Feige seem like the type of people that they plan everything out to where everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. And so I think that kind of is what's going to happen with this.
But Far From Home is a Sony movie. So Black Widow is going to be a year after. It's going to be the next Marvel Studios movie.
Yeah.
A whole year after Endgame. So they really got to bring it with this. And yes. I hope that it was a very purposeful thing to do a movie about a character that just died in the last Marvel Studios movie.
Yeah.
Or just died last year, a major character.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they really sell that really well. But I think they will. I have faith.
So we have, I'm totally chill. This is from Nico. I'm totally chill about the upcoming MCU movies. Not really hyped. I'm just in a wait and see mode. Not that anything sounds bad. I just feel satisfied. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah.
That's where so many people are right now. Yeah. That's where a majority of people are right now.
And I think that's why Far From Home needs to be a massive success.
They got to sell it.
Yeah.
They got to bring it with Far From Home and with Black Widow and with Eternals because those are all 3 cornerstones of kind of building yourself back up.
Yeah.
And if they bring it with those 3, that's going to be monumental to their continued success, which I don't think this train is slowing down anytime soon.
No.
But I think they got to bring it better than they did with Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Better than they did with Ant-Man and the Wasp, because with those ones you had, Endgame to look forward to. So you don't really have to worry if that one was kind of it was all right.
Yeah.
Same with back with Thor: The Dark World and Iron Man 3, people were like, these just came out after Avengers and I'm kind of iffy on them. Well, you've still got the next Avengers movie to look forward to.
Yeah.
So now we don't have the next Avengers movie.
Right.
So they really do have to
sell everything from here on out.
Even to hardcore fans like us, they still have to say, we're still putting in the same effort. We're still going to try.
Which is why
really
if like a Norman Osborn shows up in Far From Home, then I think people are going to be like, oh, okay, like they've got something planned now, which I think is awesome. Gump said, "Nah, man, people have been begging for a Black Widow film, and I find it ironic they are doing it now. I think this is their first film they are doing because the fans asked. I don't think Black Widow was planned 5 years. I think it was planned 5 years ago. I think they had it planned for a while.
I have no idea.
I feel like this is a movie. I feel like though Black Widow is a movie that they planned for. I think it's one that the fans have asked for." But I think fans have been asking for a Black Widow movie for a while now.
They have.
And so I think this is them. They knew where her character arc was going to go with Endgame.
Mm.
And so now they're going to come out with this movie, and I think they've done this intentionally. I know I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here, but they haven't really proved me wrong with doing that yet. So I think this is fully them being intentional about what they're doing.
I hope that whether they planned it or not, it still feels like it was purposeful.
Yeah, they can still salvage it.
Right.
Totally, they can still salvage it. So I think that's awesome to see.
Right.
Do you have anything else that you would like to throw in or add for this week?
Nope. This was kind of a small week.
It was.
And we're doing a shortened podcast, but I am excited to play Jackbox games.
Yes. So we are in about 6 or 7 minutes. We're going to jump on and we're going to get ready to do some Jackbox games. So make sure you stick around for that. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. We're going to get everything set up here real quick. And then once we get everything set up, we're going to go live and we're going to have a lot of fun doing that. So we will catch you guys here in a few minutes. If you're listening to the audio of this, we really appreciate you guys listening each and every week. Make sure that you share it with your friends. Make sure you leave a review. You can follow us on Twitter at Dorks Next Door. Take out the E from next. You can follow me on Twitter at I'm Andy York. You can follow Jason on Twitter at D&D Jason, which is awesome that he's finally on Twitter.
D&D, not D&D.
D-N.
Not Dungeons and Dragons, but everyone's going to think that anyway, so that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, we can start playing Dungeons and Dragons if you want.
I'm good. For now.
For now. But we really appreciate you guys checking us out and listening to us each and every week, and we will catch you guys next week.